Three, two, one. Hi, hello, and welcome. New episode. This is happening. Episode 34. In this podcast, I am Ermis, and I was gone for a week. Sorry for that. But life is hard. Like, there's so many things to do. I don't know how busy you are these days. I hope you are not so busy. I hope you can have moments where you just breathe and look at the trees outside or take a walk and have some thoughts sit in your head. But yes, in this moment in life, I don't get how can anyone not be busy all the time. What is the secret? How should I do it? I'm not sure. I'm running around all the time, still energetic, still here, still doing it, Don't get worried. But I'm just like, oof, how do you make this less? So, some of my latest ideas towards this freedom and what is the secret of not being busy all the time? How do we solve this? How can we make our lives just smooth? How do you get some money without having to use all of your time in life? Now, here's an idea I had. Perhaps we can do it together. The title is Let's Make an AI OnlyFans Model. This is a very niche area. It is somewhat gray, I have to say, but such a great idea. So, OnlyFans is this website where models go and have more spicy photos and people subscribe. So they pay something per month and then they get access to these things. So OnlyFans doesn't allow deep fakes of other people. Okay. And a deep fake is when you take Barack Obama, you put him in a deep fake software and you make him, say happy birthday to you, or you make Trump and Biden drink wine together in a vineyard somewhere. Someone did that recently. Now that's a deep fake. Deep fakes are not allowed, but creating an AI real person that doesn't resemble anyone, it's still okay. It's still no problemo. And this is something that some people have caught up on and are building these AI OnlyFans adult models. How do they do it? They get ChatGPT and they get something like DALL-E 2 that can create photorealistic images. And they work their way around the prompting and having this is called prompt engineering, finding the way to get a prompt to create exactly what you want. And they're creating content. There's another thing called stable diffusion that is, again, an algorithm, an AI, LLM, I don't know, one of these things that can create super realistic photos. So this is a thing. You could have all your tech set up in such a way that you just write prompts and get the spicy photos, put them on OnlyFans and have an online presence of someone who doesn't exist that people want to pay money to see in more intimate situations. Is that hurting anyone? If anything, no one is getting exploited for this. I'm not going to open this Pandora box of this type of influencing and who is exploiting whom. But at the end of the day, yeah, why not? Let's make an OnlyFans AI model. Maybe we can have it running and then we can enjoy the rest of our lives, And this is a thing. This is a thing. So I will tell you some examples because I looked it up. I thought, okay, the people who are doing this, who is the best one out there? How does this look like? There is someone called Claudia. She became an overnight sensation as the first viral AI model on OnlyFans. She was created by two computer science students using stable diffusion software to generate photorealistic images. So I was one computer science student in the past. Can a second one come find me and we can create the Claudia version 2 together? So she has no real world identity, of course, but Claudia managed to have a huge following and significant earnings. We're talking about 15K a month. Can you believe this? Do you know what you have to do in this world to get 15K a month? Yes, so she made that through purely realistic AI-generated appearance. Of course, this whole thing has sparked debates about AI's potential impact on the industry, and there is an ethical part that we don't need to catch on this podcast. Just know that this is a good idea. Now, there is also a blend. So get this another influencer. Her name is Amuranth. She's an established OnlyFans creator. Then she started experimenting with AI-generated versions of herself. This is also super smart. You cannot be recording yourself all the time, creating content all the time. We're like cows where our how do you call them it in a nice way? Our boobs are just milked away for content all the time. All of us content creators. This is sarcasm, by the way. I don't consider myself one, but in any way, this model, she partnered with a company that does AI voice. So then she created an AI voice version of herself. And she told fans, hey, you can chat with this very convincing AI replica of myself. And people were like, okay, I can't have the real thing, but this is close enough and it has her seal of approval and all that. It feels a bit real, but not fully real. And yes, so she started doing that, and she's experimenting with putting more AI to achieve, listen to this, better work-life balance. And at the end of the day, isn't this what AI is for? Help us do our jobs easier and give us back more time and less mundane tasks. So yes, Amurath, get your voice in AI. And then you're just selling replicas of yourself, AI replicas of yourself. We saw this already in Hollywood with some actors that have given their voice to AI and they have given their entire persona in AI. So after they're gone, there can still be content created from them. But now we're getting into deep waters, right? Let's zoom back and just remember we can make our own AI OnlyFans and get some money and escape this vicious circle of chasing the carrot. Last example, that one uses stable diffusion and makes hyper-realistic images, quite intricate ones. So that's a third account of someone who has become pretty famous. And this is the thing, rapid evolution of AI, we can mimic adult content. There is no rules around it yet. I don't know if you even have to say that this is not a real person. I think it's good to do it so people don't get heartbroken. I'm sure there is a niche that would still follow if you say that this is an AI person. If you market it correctly, you can say they can be anyone you want or whatever. But let's see. But the success of these three examples, I think, proves the viability of virtual models as an emerging OnlyFans niche that will be more popular as time progresses. So 8 minutes in talking about this, my tech and engineering times are a bit past and not so advanced to create something like this. But hey, I'm just giving you ideas for some passive income, kind of passive income. But anyway, let's get this podcast started. So I don't know how you feel about traveling these days. I had to travel a lot with work, and it's something that I used to enjoy more. Now it feels a little bit, again, sorry, this is first world problems. It feels a little bit like a distraction, especially if you're flying and you need to catch a plane early in the morning or after work is done, and you also need to get there somehow with trains and buses and waiting and carrying things. You go through this wonderful process of security and scanning and waiting and going there early because you're too stressed and then waiting forever. And then you arrive. But so many airports are far outside of the city centers. You need to find your way in the accommodation wherever you are. Like it's tiring. That's what I want to say. Meeting people face to face, that's amazing. For those who consider it a form of tourism, for me, the times I travel are just, there's zero energy for that. It's mostly let's just get what we came here to do type of thing. But yes, I want to share with you one of my worst moments. So when you travel and you travel in economy, no one has money to be picking their seats, right? If any of you listening are a person who can say, you know what, I book my ticket and then 19 euros for extra legroom, that sounds like me, then good luck. You probably don't need to create an AI model for OnlyFans, but I need to, and I can't choose my seat. So there are a few different techniques in the random seat assignment. The most common one is if you're traveling two people, then you just go for the spots left and right of a 3-seat row. If you take the aisle and the window, no one is taking the middle. Like it will be the last position someone chooses to just go and squeeze themselves in the middle. So if you're traveling two people and you have some sort of free selection, then do that left and right. I recently traveled with an airline, EasyJet, that doesn't have free selection. It just says, hey, we'll just put you anywhere we like because you're too poor to choose a seat for yourself. We'll make you feel bad and we'll treat you like this because you're not paying enough money. And I said, why do you make me feel like this? But okay, put me wherever you want. A friend of mine had said, Ermis, I've heard this rumor. If you wait for the last minute for your, to do your check-in, then you get good seats. The idea is simple. It says that the airline is trying to sell the good seats for extra legroom, the ones at the emergency exits or of the plane where you don't have anyone in front of you. It's trying to sell them for a higher price. The closer the flight gets, if these seats don't get sold, then they just assign them to the random people that have already booked. So if you wait it out, there are high chances at the end that you get a good seat. I like the idea. And so it happened that I only checked in when it was 1 hour before the flight. Okay. Do you want to know what happened? I will tell you what happened. I got the seat number 40F. Now, the more you go in the high 30s in a normal plane, the closer you are in the back. The back has a lot of disadvantages, one of them being that you need to wait forever to get in. Probably people have used the spaces on top of your head, so you need to find that way around. But as you get closer to the end, one thing that gets increasingly disturbing for me is the access to the toilet. I don't know if you've noticed, every single person, when they're flying, they need to pee at some point. The line in the toilet is constant. There are always people waiting to go in and out. So the closer you are to that, the more annoying it gets. Now, let me tell you, the seat 40F is the last seat of the plane. The one I got 1 hour before. The trick didn't work. I was literally the last seat in the plane. And let me tell you a few things about it. First of all, that row doesn't have a window. Like the windows stop 2 rows before that. I don't know why, but the shape of the aircraft changes slightly. So there you are in a gray box. It's much more claustrophobic to not be able to see anything outside and just looking around you and having this gray plastic. At the same time, there is a constant row of people that are waiting to, piss or poop or I don't know, try to smoke. So you're constantly for them is a temporary phase. For them is the, 5 minutes max they had to wait to pee. But for you, it's a constant flow. I feel like I'm part of the environment they get to experience. But the worst thing, and of course I haven't said it so far, but you can imagine, is the smell. Like this door opens all the time, back and forth, non-stop peeing, non-stop pooping, whatever. The smell that you get in these back seats let's just say it's there, okay? It's there. You cannot avoid smelling everyone's visit to the bathroom. So I felt a bit violated. I felt like I'm getting less treatment, and I got annoyed because this is what airlines are doing in this way, in the way that they sell tickets, okay? They are causing this, they are micro-traumatizing you. They're micro-traumatizing you so you get upgrades. So you say, you know what, I don't want to be treated like shit. So I deserve better. So I will do something. I will just go in the front seats, or I will get the fast onboarding or whatever. They treat you like shit deliberately on checking your luggage so harshly, on not having space. They treat you like shit because that's the basic product. The ticket you buy is just one piece of the puzzle. This is what airlines do. It's called price dripping. And it basically says when you buy the thing, you don't buy the whole thing. You just buy your entry through the door. That's your ticket. You want to have extra space, you pay. You want to be more comfortable, you pay. You want to not have to wait to get in line, you pay. You want to have food or water, you pay. And this is a model that has increased, a lot with the low-cost flights. If you want extra baggage, right, you pay. And at the end of the day, it could be that if you're traveling with a bit of a better airline, that in the standard ticket, it gives you, maybe a hand luggage to have. There are airlines that give you a hand luggage to have with you. 8 kilos, you put it up there, or allow you to choose your seat for free. And at the end of the day, you could be spending less money in total for the services an airline like that gives you, because a lot of these are included. But anyway, this was my horror trip. 3 hours next to the toilet, just looking at a toilet person after toilet person, not having a window to escape with my eyes a little bit. And the last worst thing is that if you have a window, you can lean on it. There's a space on the right to just try and sleep a little bit. In the last two rows of the plane where there are no windows, the shape of the airplane changes a little bit. So you don't have a curve that is going outwards so you can lie on it. The curve is coming inwards. I don't know how to say it otherwise. So if you lean on that wall, it's actually, it's bad. So here are a few things around the airlines to remember. One, do you know that the seats are made to absorb farts, by the way? This is a thing. You can look it up. The airplane seats are made to absorb farts. I don't know how your gut health is going, but just know that you are very safe to do that. It's there by design. And because of the altitude changes and how the air moves in our bodies, you are actually producing much more gas when there is a descent, when the plane is going down to land. So know that your seat is there for you. The second thing is your taste is fucked up. I guess you might have seen it, but food tastes much differently. It needs a lot more spices. The spices don't register in the mouth. It's a weird situation that our taste buds get altered. It's a whole science how to nail having good airplane food. Back in the day, the companies, the airlines were competing for the best food. It was like a prestige thing. If you look it up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, they had chefs in the planes and making this extraordinary food. Now they have just kind of all agreed that they're going to be minimizing the service for everyone's benefit. And lastly, of course, the alcohol has stronger effects when you are in flight. So these are three things. Don't bother to eat much tasty food. Feel free to fart around. And if you like a glass of wine, well, you get 3 in the price of 1, I guess. But here are 2 things, and I wrap it up with flying. 1, here's a suggestion of mine to the airline companies that they're never going to do because they don't want you to be comfortable. But just imagine that you're traveling and you have this tray in front of you. And this tray can be used to eat if you're rich. It can be used to put your laptop or your phone and watch something. Some people put their hands on it and try to sleep on it, but your head is bumping into the seat of the person in front of you. And that can have magazines there. It can have this plastic thing you move around to get the tray down. And people try to find a comfortable place for their heads. You can see them, they put their heads in the windows. If they're on the right, they put their hands in the seat in front. So how about we create a nice little cavity that you can rest your head on? Now imagine if the seat in front of you just had a little bit of a curve for your forehead to just go in and stay there. That would be such a huge upgrade. People would be able to sleep so much easier in the flights. And of course, you can never escape the person in front of you doing something like a movement every now and then. But yeah, let's just make this front seat have a little space for a forehead to rest. So you can sell that more if you want, airlines, but you have the great idea from me. So great ideas of the day: AI, porn models, and forehead resters for the airline seats. Now, last thing about airports, I promise, is a good hack. If you heard so far, it's time for the hack. You've seen probably videos of people trying to pass a lot of things through security. They have these fishing vests that full of pockets and hooks, and they try to put a lot of things in there instead of having them in a carry-on luggage. It's a whole science that people get too much into it, trying to beat the system. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of, how much effort you put into it. If it takes you 2 days to prepare your ultimate way to pass, maybe paying 30 euros for extra space, so it's worth it. But in any case, here's an easy hack. I've been using it for years. It can help you get past if you only have a small bag with you or something like this. I did it very recently with EasyJet, and it worked again. And this is buy anything at the airport and get a bag. Get one of these plastic duty-free bags. If you get one of those, that's like a free pass. You could just buy a water or something small. You get one of these airport duty-free bags, open your backpack, get some things out of it, put them in this bag, put something on top that looks like you bought it from the airport, and you are done. No one checks these bags. Everyone assumes you did some spending at the airport. They don't want to get all nitty-gritty about it. They're happy you're spending there, so they usually just don't even bother. And this is a way to significantly reduce what your backpack might be carrying, what your hand luggage might be carrying before you go to the gate. So there you have it, duty-free bags. Many times you get them for free if you buy something or you pay a little bit of money. But that little bit of money could save you a fine of 70 euros if the airline really wants to push their dimensions or weight. So this was it with the traveling, and let's move on. Now, there is an elephant in the room. I feel we need to talk about. I don't want to talk about it, but my goodness, Trump has won the election. This happened, and I'm not going to go over everything, okay? First of all, I am not informed enough. I am too dumb to give you the full picture of how this went down. At the end of the day, we talked in some previous podcasts. He released a thing called the 2025 plan. It had everything he was planning to do. And if I mentioned this before, and John Oliver has done some great coverage, reading that thing feels like, a dictator's one-to-one playbook. And I'm probably all the way demonetized from everything I'm saying. I'm using keywords I shouldn't all the time. But that plan was actually showing how he's planning to get many more controls in his hands, how he's aiming to put his people everywhere in every branch of the government. There's a layer of governments that people need to be there to do the work. The government can change some of its people, but then there is a stable part of people that need to be employed, that have expertise for the work that needs to be done in the different parts of the government. He wants to just change all that. Like, I want to put my people everywhere I want, and no one can move them. This will be a fun ride. But then there's also a question of what people does he put? I don't know if you've seen any of the announcements these days, but this feels like straight out of a movie. Half of the people he's appointing are like Fox News people, the presenters he likes seeing every day, and the ones who kept pushing him and, kissing his ass, are now being appointed to run ministries and run a country with no expertise before. Let's just wait and see how this goes. One person that is nominated for government wrote a kid's book, okay, where the hero is Trump, and he saves the world. It's basically him being a hero. It doesn't even get elaborate, the ass kissing. I would assume that people need to play a lot of these politic games and the dynamics and all of that. This is like, no, I'm writing a book. You are the hero of it. You are the best person in the world. You are saving the world, Trump. I'm a follow, trusted supporter of yours. Do I have an agenda? Am I better than the rest? I don't know, but I adore you so much. I'm projecting your greatness to the world. So put me in. It's like, I don't know, maybe the next thing is someone gets appointed that because they built the hugest statue of Trump. This could work, I made you a 20-meter statue. We can just sign this and we'll get it into Washington and make me your main statue person. I will replace many statues in the country with your statues. If I could tell this to Trump, I'm pretty sure he would say, signed, get that big statue in Washington, get the role, present me your Trump statues every month and we'll put them places. So yeah, it's just this slow way to dictatorship, just keep having things that glorify how great you are, even though it's not anything of essence or logic, just this glorification. And I don't know if you remember, he actually appointed a chief of staff to run his office, and it was a person, he fired the previous one, and someone was carrying his suitcases. And he asked that person, do you think you can do this job? They said yes, and then they got assigned for it. The White House chief of staff. So this is how this person operates. Let's see what type of government and times come. I heard an interesting comment, basically, that just reminded me that in the US, that there is no actual democracy as a concept. There are two powers, if you think about it. The Democrats and the Republicans. There's nothing else. It's either one or the other, which technically is an oligarchy, right? Oligos means few. The few are ruling. So if you only have two choices, then how much choice do you really have? What is your real spectrum of choice? There is no spectrum of choice. And the interesting thing, from my point of view, is that both of the Democrats and the Republicans, they're both very center. I don't feel that there is what we would call a left agenda. And it's interesting how they're blaming the Democrats for being far left. It feels like the whole spectrum has just moved so much to the right that far left is something that in Europe would sound like a given freedom to have. So scary stuff. They have a lot of work to do, step to step into destruction. They will abolish the Ministry of Education. They have announced this. This is not a joke. They want to abolish the Ministry of Education and take it outside of federal protection. Check it out. It's a true thing. And yeah, it's fascinating. I really feel that at some point I stepped outside of the universe into a parallel universe. I'm not sure when it happened or what I was doing at the time. But I feel we've stepped into this parallel universe where things are going this way. But yeah, Ministry of Education, who needs it? Why do you need education in the first place? I think without education, voting is easier. You sway the emotions left and right. You throw the misinformation everywhere. And you don't need education if you're the US. Their model is not to produce the talent they need, right? Their model is just importing. They don't count on domestic knowledge. They count on the best talent in the world, that they're able to get it, acquire it, pay much, and people want to go to the US to be great and to do work. Let's see. That yes, changing the Ministry of Education sounds a bit like a dystopia. Maybe this is the word I should be using. It gets less. I'm already demonetized from every way, but dystopia probably is a safer one to use. But yeah, they have started this thing that they say, look how much money we spend on all these useless things like education. They are spending your money, American people, in all this, but we know what is needed. So we will cut all of this money. And I have to say, it's really nice when the world's richest people, who, it's interesting how they've made their money, they have an opinion about what the public needs, right? You want someone who is close to you, who can understand your day-to-day struggles, from work to healthcare to social support to everything. So who better to understand that the world's elite on how should the money be spent for the public needs? Looking forward to that. But somehow Trump has managed to sway the vote with this good all masculine superiority situation. This is how he won the vote in states that had underrepresented communities. He still won the males in there because he plays this card of the male superiority and the wokeness. And this was an angle that people said, oh yeah, fuck social inequalities and racism and all of this systemic inequalities being brought to us as underrepresented groups. This is all about the good old man coming back in the house. And the money, the finance was a big part. So I'll stop talking about it. It's a lot. He has said so many lies that everyone can now pick one and choose their favorite lie to believe and hope that the rest he won't do. This is the problem is with misinformation. You can believe some stuff, you don't know what to believe. So what's the safest thing to do for a person to keep sane? You just, hope the things will go as you heard it can happen. There are so many promises and lies he has brought that everyone can choose and believe their own reality. But this whole thing sounds like a supervillain story straight from Idiocracy. I only saw this film in from 2012 to 2015. I remember the first time Trump was around, 2016, I posted it on my Facebook because I thought, wow, this is so similar. Someone coming from the world of wrestling and WW SmackDown is now wanting to run the country. And it's like, yeah. And now a few years later, he actually put wrestlers to vouch for him and make a show. Everything is a show. But hey, the people have voted. I can always go to my little village in Greece. That's my safe place. I'll just go there and hide. And you know what? Listeners of this podcast, you can come with me. You can come with me and we can build a community there. So yes, if you want to come to my safe place in the countryside, we have the sea close by. I don't know how we'll make a living. Maybe we all create a farm of AI OnlyFans bots and we keep feeding that algorithm, because this is a good job these days, feeding algorithms, and then farming. Maybe we can make it work. Last but not least, Elon Musk is now in. He's in a ministry that is outside of control, so he doesn't have to give up his companies. He can run the ministry and still run his companies. They will just create every way to circumvent anything that there was in place to keep some integrity. And he wants to name it Doge, D-O-G-E, the name of a meme coin. He has been pushing hard and has made millions out of it. And this is the last bit of evidence. I need to believe that we are in the metaverse. We are not in the real world anymore. At some point, we jumped into this parallel universe. And yeah, everyone wants to cash out. Everyone who put money in this campaign wants to cash out. Enemies or allies of the US also know that it's money and personal, how do you say, the personal vanity of the people running the show is more important than any other national agenda. So let's see how that show goes. We got a little bit into the deep, didn't we? I will wrap this up now. Finish this podcast from the AI model that might save us to the difficulties of traveling, the hacks around the farting seats, and the Trump results. But as a last thing, I will close with a deep thought. Okay, this is a bit of a cheesy one, right? A cheesy one, a deep thought. But I was thinking that you have to make it easy for other people to hurt you. This is a weird statement, I know, but you have to make it easier for people to hurt you if you want them to be honest. Like if you're able to get hurt in a way that doesn't put the other person in a despair, then you can have that dialogue. Otherwise, people just hide stuff. I think people hide stuff all the time to make things easier. It's difficult to bring uncomfortable truths, and if you're getting too hurt, then people will choose to hide it. So had this realization, and it's a painful one. It's not easy to put yourself in a spot where others can just share things that are hurtful. It takes a lot of work to be able to get punched mentally like this and absorb it, still stay at your feet, still have a way to get this incoming force and transform it into something that is okay for you, that is kind for you, that is, information and learning, and of course still express how you feel. But this is something I was thinking for honest relationships. I think both sides get hurt because no one can understand everyone exactly. So yeah, just be strong out there. My second random thought is that if something on Instagram or whatever you are scrolling the reels looks fishy, then at least read the comments. Don't stay in this, maybe it's truth space. Give it a go. There is a lot of content out there that is either an extreme form of trolling, so someone puts a video and writes a completely wrong description about what is going on, or people make edits like the Kanye West and Elon Musk dialogue. They're the two of them talking about space travel. It's a hilarious one until you realize it's probably too good to be true. Elon Musk is trying to explain rockets, and Kanye West says how he was the best in 7th grade and then starts singing, and Elon Musk looks very confused. It's amazing, but it's actually a very smart edit that someone has done. But there are a lot of things around. Algorithms don't care as long as you like and engage something. So if you are in the space of, maybe that's true, I invite you to not doom scroll to the next thing. Just press the comments, do the minimum due diligence to answer yourself the question, is it truth or not? Because I think having the answer to that question makes you a better person to deal with the amount of content we are consuming. The more you stay in the maybe it's truth and continue, the more the landscape blurs. And yeah. Anyway, I know I'm throwing a lot at you out there. I'll close with this. I still do Pilates. I am stronger. I'm getting there. But here's my favorite person. His name is Goran Kropp, and in 1996, famously known as the Crazy Swede, he is from Sweden, he went on a journey and he cycled 8,000 miles. We know that the Nordics like cycling, but 8,000 miles. He cycled from Stockholm to the base of Mount Everest with all his climbing gear. Yes, he didn't just go to Everest just for the ride. He went there to climb. So if all the CO2 I've been putting out there in the atmosphere with my work travels, I think Goran Kropp tried to offset. He pushed his limits and the limits of human endurance. He arrived at the base. He successfully climbed the iconic mountain without bottled oxygen. A lot of people take some extra oxygen when you go so high. So imagine that. He bikes all the way there. He climbs to the top. And then, of course, after doing that, he cycled back home to Sweden. Just nice and easy. Finish the trip, pack it all up, and just bike from Everest all the way back to Stockholm. What an extraordinary mission. He was a great guy. I looked him up a little bit. The stories that come from anyone that met him in mountaintops or trails talk about a very open and happy person and just a nice human to be around. So if my Pilates is a drop in the ocean, Goran Kropp is showing the way of, going all the way. What an endurance. What a body. What a podcast. What an episode. What a week. This has been the wrap up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being around. If you like this, feel free to rate the podcast and follow and share with your friends and do all these things. So you feed the algorithm for me and I feed the algorithm. And then one day we conquer the world. Don't forget, this is the point of this podcast. Once we conquer the world, just like Trump, I will put you all in this government that I will have, and we will have a great time. So until next week, ciao.